How's it going, everyone? In this video, I'm going to show you how I create a TCPA 10 DLC A2P compliant web form for my coaching website that is using voice AI and conversational AI to handle some of my leads. So how I do this, so as you can see, I'm in my HighLevel account. This is my hotel response agency account where I'm hosting my coaching sub account. And what I'm going to be doing here is go to forms. And let's see, the path to get here is you're going to go to site and you're going to go to forms. And then in your forms section is where you're going to create a new form. So I create a new form and this is my form. A part of the process I'm going to go here, guys, just to show you the way I think and to make sure that I'm staying compliant in general when I'm doing things like this, especially things that deal with legal. I'm going to go ahead and use Gemini for this help with this. First, this is the end result, and I'll show you, backward engineer it so you can see how I did it. First, my form starts off with a message. It's a required field. I know it's required when you click into the field and you hit the settings, and then you'll see on the right side you'll see the required box check. So that's how you make sure that the user has to click in, make input there. So going back, let me hit the preview. The actual form looks like this in preview mode, where it has a message, it has a first name, which is required, a last name, which is not required, a phone number, which is also not required, an email, which is required, and my two consent checkboxes down here, which I can check or not check and hit submit. Now, again, don't take this as legal advice, but this is the best advice that I have, also vetted through Gemini and through various platforms. So as of 2026, July, this is what I have discerned and put together to make my site as compliant as possible. Okay, so remember the scenario here is that most of my sites have tech support and voice AI and conversational AI support. And we want to make sure, or at least I want to make sure, that I'm covered for any claims, false claims that my voice AI, conversational AI gave out bad advice, number one. And number two, that the forms themselves are compliant. HighLevel, you want to be as transparent as possible in your marketing. That is the best practice, and that's what the FCC is looking at as well. So I want to take you behind the shoulder and just show you how I went about doing mine, and you can borrow from it. So let's take a look first off of some of the rules. So let's review that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my Gemini sidebar browser here, and I'm going to move my face over here. And you can see where I'm getting the rationale that's just not coming out of my mind. So I'm going to say here, according to the latest law, include TCPA, 10 DLC, A2P, and Can Spam Act, and any other FCC guidance and rulings. How should my website forms be, and what type of consent should I ask for? Okay, because if you don't know, then go ahead and do your own Google search or search and see what the rules are so you are coming from a place of knowledge. So here it says navigating the compliance landscape for website forms requires aligning with recent major updates from the FCC, TCPA case law, carrier requirements, which are A2P, 10 DLC, and the Can Spam Act. Note on a major shift. The FCC attempted to implement a strict quote unquote one-to-one consent rule to eliminate the lead generator loophole, banning single forms that opt consumers into dozens of marketing partner. However, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals officially vacated that specific rule, and the FCC removed it while multi-seller blanket leads remain legal at a federal level. Carrier enforcement and structural compliance have still adapted, meaning your forms must be highly explicit to avoid being filtered or sued. How your website form should be structured. to pass both legal checks and aggressive automated A2P 10DLC carrier registration filter, which will permanently block your numbers if your website forms lack structural compliance. Your web forms must meet these exact criteria. And let's see, I want you to look at my form and see if I did this or not. First, explicit checkboxes. Okay, here are my checkboxes. Okay, I've got two. So it says explicit check boxes not pre-checked. Consent boxes cannot be pre-checked. The user must perform an affirmative action, manually check the box, or click a highly specific submit button. So for starters, when you're looking at your forms, when you review your forms, when the page loads, make sure that these checkboxes are not checked. That's the first thing. A lot of people, a lot of old school marketers have it already pre-checked, and then so they can submit, and they basically telling or offering the people the option of unchecking it, but the rule says leave unchecked. That's probably one of the big shit. Number two, separation of content types, right? That's why we have two checkbox. It says do not bundle marketing SMS consent with informational SMS consent, and never bundle SMS consent with your standard terms of service accepted. If you are collecting phone numbers for multiple purposes, use separate discrete checkboxes or clear breakout language. So let's look at how I'm doing. So my first consent box says I consent to receive non-marketing text messages, resource delivery alerts, and appointment reminders from my business name that's on my EIN. PW Coaching LLC. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply. Text help for assistance. Reply stop to opt out. That's the first one. The second one, I consent to receive marketing text messages. See the difference? One is non-marketing, one is marketing. I consent to receive text messages from my business name regarding upcoming coaching services, free one-on-one Zoom challenges, guides, and educational ebooks at the phone number provided, which is the phone number they're going to put here, which if you've noticed is non-required. I didn't make it required. You could make it required if you wanted to. That's not against the, but I made it non-required. What is the most important part of this whole process is that these checkboxes are not checked by default. However, you have to make sure that you have a workflow in the back end that can keep track of who's checked and who's not. And then based off of that work, you will send out your marketing message. And I'll do a separate video of a workflow that does just that with an if else statement and tagging so that you can go ahead and implement that. Matter of fact, if you like that, go ahead and leave a like or comment in the comments. But that way you can, or subscribe to this channel. That way you can get the update when I release it, and I'll give you the full prompt on that. Number three, hyperlinked legal frameworks. Your form must contain active live links to your privacy policy and terms of service. Carrier compliance bots dynamically crawl the opt-in URLs you submit during 10 DLC registration. If these links are missing or broken, your campaign will be rejected. And as you can see in my form, you'll see that I have my privacy and terms. I'm hovering over the links. If I click, it's going to go ahead to my privacy page, which you will see here. And as you can, my privacy page does address the SMS text messaging consent, etc., data sharing, and so forth. Let's go back. And then if I click my terms of service, you will see here, I have a separate section that regards SMS text messaging specific. Okay. All right. Let's go back. Where were we? Right here, clear and conspicuous disclosures. The disclosures text must be placed in close proximity to the phone number or the submission, but it cannot be buried in tiny, unreadable font or hidden behind a drop-down message. Okay. And let's see here. It doesn't look like I've added a disclosure, so we're going to go ahead and do that in real time. So number two, what type of consent to ask for? The exact language you use depends entirely on the type of communication you intend to. For example, for marketing and promotional messages, TCPA prior express written consent. Under the TCPA, marketing or sales driven text messages require the high tier of consent. The disclosure must explicitly state that consent is not a required condition to make a purchase. For example, by checking this box, I provide my prior express written consent authorizing, then your business name, to send automated marketing text messages, promotional offers, and sales updates to the phone number provided. Consent is not a condition of purchase. Message and data rates may apply. Messaging varies. Reply stop to opt out or help for assistance. View our privacy and terms link as you can see here. B, for informational and transactional message, we talked about that. It says if you are only sending non-promotional text messages, example, appointment reminders, account updates, resource deliveries, or customer service, you still need consent, but it does not require the strict, quote unquote, not a condition of purchase clause. For example, by providing your phone number, you consent to receive non marketing communications, appointment reminders, and account alerts from your business. Message and data rates may apply, message frequency varies. Text stop to cancel at any time. View our privacy policy. For email marketing, and this is where we're going to address the Can Spam Act, because as you can see, we are asking in this form for both phone and email, and it depends on what you're asking. But to comply with the Can Spam, unlike SM, Can Spam operates on a quote unquote opt out framework rather than a mandatory prior express written opt in. However, to keep email deliverability high and maintain a solid compliance record, your form should ideally include a checkbox or clear notice that they are subscribing to an email news. Can spam requirement. Your form doesn't strictly need a separate checkbox for email, but your sent emails must include a clear working unsubscribe mechanism and your physical business address in the. You may or may not know this. What is most important is the actual email that's going out, that it has an unsubscribe and it has a physical address in the footer. Okay. So you theoretically could just simply on your squeeze page lead magnet a form that just simply says enter email and that's all they have and no checkbox. That would be okay according to Can Spam. When you actually get the email, it's got to have these things. Number 3, crucial FCC and carrier updates to keep in mind. The quote unquote any reasonable means end quote opt out rule. So effective recent banned exclusive opt out methods. This means you cannot legally state you must text stop to opt out as the only pathway. Okay. If a consumer replies with natural language like please stop texting me or remove me or no more or even updates a form saying stop, your platform must recognize an opt. It's interesting. I get text messages all the time, and I will see stuff, especially these political that are sending out stuff. They'll say stuff, stop to stop receiving things, or text today. They'll make it a little bit more complicated with a two-word key or a code, to stop the text. This is saying that any natural language that infers that I don't want to receive your text message, you have to have the ability to stop it. At the very least, you want to use the words. All right, so centralized cross-channel. Prepare your internal systems for the FCC's upcoming revocation-all mandates, which is tracking toward full enforcement by January 2020. Under this framework, if a customer opts out of marketing text, that opt-out preference must seamlessly register across your CRM to prevent accidental crossover communication in other unlinked promotional work. All right. So basically, your CRM will have to act as a DND on that contact record so that they can not be disturbed by you for if they are subscribed to multiple workflows and emails. So that is the update on the rules of how we will go ahead and do our. So let me move my face over here. Going back to my form, so you'll see that when this form, it's going to load up just like this, a basic But the things I want to highlight for this form is the required and unrequired. I don't have to make any field, right? And any checkbox, but the best practice ultimately is that on the back end, your workflows need to recognize, right? So in this, I of course made my message required and my first name and my email. It's a form, and I want to make sure that I'm not getting empty responses. So at the very least, I'm going to a first, a message, and an email. But this, even if it's going to go ahead and if I click this without, like I don't have, it will send without these things. All right, so, that's it for this video, and I will drop prompt in the comment that will show you how to create your own checkboxes that's based off of the latest and greatest rulings, but it's something that you're going to keep tabs on because the FCC is always changing the. So I hope you like this video. I'll see you in